You know how people keep saying that the real estate market is crashing? Yeah, that's not really what's happening here in Eugene. Prices have come down a little, homes are sitting a bit longer, but the sky is definitely not falling. In fact, the numbers from September tell a very different story, one of balance, stability, and maybe even a little opportunity for both buyers and sellers. Hi, everyone. I'm Bryn, a realtor here in Eugene, Oregon. On this channel, I coach you through the real estate process and have some fun along the way. This is your September 2025 Eugene real estate market update. Each month, I take a few minutes to go over what's really happening in our local market. Not the national headlines, not the hype, just what's actually playing out here on the ground. So let's get into it. Right now, as of early October, there are 387 homes on the market in Eugene. That's a solid amount of inventory for this time of year. Definitely more than what we had during the pandemic years when homes were flying off the market in a weekend, but still below the old pre-2020 levels when we might have seen closer to 500 or 600 homes available. The median number of days on market for active listings is sitting right at about 60 days. So on average, homes are taking around 2 months to sell if you don't grab a buyer right away. That's not a bad thing though. It just means that buyers have a little more breathing room and sellers need to be a little bit more strategic with pricing and presentation. Now, on the flip side, there are currently 193 homes in Eugene that are pending, meaning they already found a buyer and are under contract. Those pending homes had a median of just 26 days on market. So the homes that are priced correctly and look great online are still selling in less than a month. That gap between 60 days and 26 days really tells the story of our current market. I like to call it a two-speed market. You've got some homes sitting because they're overpriced, cluttered, or not presented well. And then you've got the ones that are flying off the market because they're hitting all the right notes. Let's look at what actually sold in September. The median sold price was $495,000. Homes sold in a median of 21 days, and sellers received about 99.2% of their list price. That tells me that buyers are negotiating a little, but not much. Most homes are selling very close to full price, just not quite above asking like we saw in 2021 and 2022. To compare, in August, the median price was $518,500, with homes selling in about 20 days and sellers getting just over 100% of their asking price. So prices have ticked down just slightly from summer to fall, which is pretty typical seasonally, and things slowed by maybe a day or two. Now let's look back 1 year earlier to September of 2024. The median price then was $511,000. Homes were selling in about 15 days, and sellers were getting 98.46% of their list price. So compared to this time last year, prices are down a little bit, but not dramatically. The pace has slowed slightly, but overall, we're seeing a market that's finding its footing again after a couple of wild years. If you've been waiting for some kind of big price correction, this probably isn't it. Eugene continues to be a market where demand meets limited supply, and that tends to keep things pretty steady, even when interest rates fluctuate. Now, speaking of interest rates, that's one of the biggest stories from September. Rates had been hovering higher for most of 2025, which definitely cooled some buyer activity. But during the last week of September, we finally saw a small drop. Nothing huge, but enough to get people's attention. And here's why that matters. Even a small decrease in rates can have a noticeable effect on monthly payments. For example, on a $500,000 home, a half-point rate drop could save a buyer a few $100s a month. That's the kind of change that can pull some buyers back into the market. I've already had a few conversations in the past couple of weeks with people who had put their home search on pause earlier this year. They're starting to re-engage, curious to see whether this trend continues. If rates keep easing a bit through October, it wouldn't surprise me to see pending sales pick up again heading into November. So what does this mean if you're thinking about buying or selling right now? If you're a buyer, this fall might actually be one of the best windows in quite a while. There's more inventory to choose from, less competition, and sellers are more open to negotiation, especially if your financing is solid and you're ready to move quickly when the right home hits the market. You might not get a screaming deal, but you have time to think things through instead of feeling rushed. If you're a seller, this is where preparation really matters. Homes that are clean, decluttered, and move-in ready are still selling fast, often within the first few weeks. But buyers are pickier now. They're comparing options, looking closely at price and condition, and they'll skip over any listing that feels overpriced. I always tell my clients, your home doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to feel like a good value. Another thing to keep in mind is that the time of year is starting to work in your favor again. Fall in Eugene is beautiful. We've got colorful leaves, crisp mornings, and soft natural light that really makes homes photograph well. So if you're planning to list before the holidays, don't assume that you've missed your chance. There are still buyers out there who want to get settled before the end of the year. Big picture, the Eugene market right now is healthy and stable. We're past the chaos of the post-pandemic surge, but we're not in a downturn either. We're in the middle ground where realistic pricing and good presentation meet steady demand. It's actually kind of refreshing. For years, we've been used to this sense of urgency, listings flying off the market, multiple offers, buyers waiving inspections. Now, things feel a little bit more normal. It gives both sides space to make smart, informed decisions. And honestly, I think that's a really good thing for everyone. So that's where we stand as of September of 2025. We'll see how things play out in October, especially with the dip in interest rates at the end of September. I'm really curious to see whether that starts nudging more buyers off the sidelines or gives current homeowners the confidence to make a move before winter. Either way, the Eugene real estate market continues to hold strong, just at a calmer, more sustainable pace. If you found this update helpful, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss next month's report. I post updates like this every month to help you stay informed about what's really happening here in our local market. And if you ever have questions about your neighborhood or want to get a feel for what your home might sell for today in today's market, feel free to reach out. No pressure, no sales pitch, just honest advice to help you make the best decision for your situation. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.